I've seen today a couple of videos from other content creators in English that they had a little chat, some of them with some of the devs from Plarium, regarding a lot of content that's supposed to come very soon. So soon that Plarium, a couple of months, I think it's months ago, they released a video of what's next in Raid, and they showed us a couple of these things that they were like long overdue and the community has been asking for them a lot. In the video today, I wasn't part of this conversation, but I had a video planned of all the things that I think we can see coming in 2025, or at least at some point soon, because they're things that I'm pretty sure they're gonna come at some point to the game. Let's have a look at them. Hi, Senda here and welcome to another raid video. In this case, we're not only going to talk a bit about these things that Plarium promised that they're going to come very soon, and by very soon I mean maybe not February, because February is usually Fusion, the Fusion always comes with another companion, so it's normally like one Fusion champion and an extra one. Maybe we'll also do one more Unity faction, in this case the Dwarves is the next faction to receive one, maybe a Mythical champion, I don't know when these champions are going to come, but that could be the patch for February, but I'm pretty sure if not in February, in March, there's a lot of these changes, a lot of quality of life changes that they promised us they'll come, and they're gonna come. Some of these things, like I said, they're already in the video Plarium showed us, so I'm gonna touch them briefly just to remind you the things that are about to come. And one of these ones, for example, is the background battles, I think, which basically, and I think due to complexity, is not gonna be something like, okay, I come here, I run Dragon, and then while Dragon is running in the background, I can come to another dungeon and also do it, because that will mean two processes, one in the background and also one at the front. So I don't think it will be something like that. I think it will be more something on the lines of, okay, I'm gonna run Dragon, it's gonna start running in the background, and then I can do other things that doesn't require that much in terms of like power, in terms of memory. For example, coming to the champions, putting them in the different vaults, re-gearing them, leveling them up, checking gear, upgrading, selling, these kind of things. I think it's possible to do it in the first place while something else is running in the background. So this is something that they said 100% is gonna come, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it's gonna come March. Another thing that was kind of promised was Live Arena Season, more specifically. How are they gonna look like? I have no idea. Normally in other games, depending on the season, basically they reset everyone, let's say everyone back to Silver 1 or back to Gold 1 if you're in the Gold tier, and what's gonna happen is, like, let's say 1 month, like I said, I'm just talking about it, I'm just thinking out loud. What they could do is like, okay, this season, which is gonna go from the beginning, from the first day of the month to the last day of the month, everyone that's in Gold starts in Gold 1, and the maximum level is gonna be Gold 4 or Gold 5. And also, to make it more interesting, they can put conditions. For example, this season only support and defense champion, and this is the only two types of champions we can use in the live arena. With these conditions, and during that month, players can play as much as they want, and by the end of the season, they'll give rewards based on how far each player got. Also tied to this, like I said, this is just thinking out loud, I have no idea how they're gonna do it, if they're gonna do it like this, with conditions or without conditions, I have no idea, but what they said is they're gonna introduce, tied to this live arena season, 2 new sets. Right now we have the Impulse set, which is really good, and the Zeal, which is also another really good one. But also they mentioned they're gonna bring 2 more, and also some parts of relics or some sort of items to help us craft more relics. These should also be coming in this same patch of February/March. Like I said, I don't know, we don't have an exact date yet, but I'm guessing it's gonna come around this time. Another thing that was promised that they said there's gonna come 100% is the AutoHYDRA battles. And with the AutoHYDRA, I'm not exactly sure how they're gonna do it, because we have that already implemented in the Demon Lord, but the Demon Lord is not super complicated in terms that we know exactly at what turn, what is the boss gonna do, we know it has 3 skills, and that's about it. It's very easy to predict. And that's why we have 2 keys, and we do the keys, and the result we get of the auto battle is the result that gets saved. With the Hydra, it's a bit different, because there's a lot of RNG here involved. We can have one team and do an amazing amount of damage, and then we have exactly the same team, different heads appear, ahead each one of our very core key champions, our DPS dies, a lot of things can happen, and from one team that you know it works really good one time, it can be really, really bad another time, because it's heavily based on RNG. Having 3 keys and having the whole week to do it, I'm not sure if they're going to put something in between. I'm not saying being as strict as the clan boss, that you do the key and whatever it goes, I mean, whatever is amount of damage you get, is that's what you get. And not on the opposite side either, of people can do as many battles and then at the end just save the one they've done the best damage. I don't think it's going to be something like that. I hope for something a bit more in between, something more on the lines of, okay, you have 3 repeats, and that's about it. 3 keys, 3 repeats. You get, you do X amount of damage, and if you're happy with that, you can retry it only once. And then you're gonna get the second retry. But like, you could have chosen the first one. Something along these lines. But the point here was the Hydra auto battles. They're gonna come again at some point February, March. I'm not sure exactly at what patch, but that is gonna come, is gonna come. Another thing also mentioned, and I think what we're gonna be exploring a bit further, this relic thing, is just more relics in general. Right now, we only have 2 types of relics. I don't know why it came here, not here. Relic index. We only have 3 types of relics. We have the standard, which is like the normal relics. We have the ones that got released with the Chimera, that we only can get the items to craft them by doing the Chimera. And also they just introduced this one called Event Group. I'm guessing they're going to be different events. Each of these events are going to come with different relics, and they're all going to go under here. And here we're going to be able to get these masks, and with this mask or whatever item they put here, we're going to be able to get more of these event relics. But we can see here, there's a couple of hints, and it's just like coming soon. If you try to click in any of these, coming soon. Even on the standard ones, coming soon, which means maybe 1 more, maybe several more. Also, in terms of groups, okay, we have here 3, but we can see here a question mark. And then we see here also a lot of space that is not used. So I think probably in this 2025, Relics is going to be a very important topic, where they're going to be adding a lot of craftable items and probably more relics. I don't think more rarity, but definitely more sources of items, of materials to craft relics, because right now they are really, really scarce. It's really hard to get. If you do your 2 Chimera keys every week, you get certain items, you craft them, what do you get, 3, 4 tries? And it's really, really hard to get mythical, not even legendary. Mythicals are almost impossible. And then it's not only hard to get the relic itself, but then you have to level it up to 6 stars. And the champion is easy to level up 6 stars, because there's a lot of them. You can just go here and pull green shards and then level up these champions in just by doing campaign, etc. But for the relics, there is no such thing to level up relics. So you need to level up all the relics, shittier relics, in order to get one very good one. The amount of resources is insane. And this is just to craft 1 relic. How about the people that have a lot of champions? I mean, this is a lot of fusions, and it's 6 years of playing Raid. But how about the people that put a lot of money and have even more champions that have been playing even longer, and they need to craft relics that have to be very powerful for every single of their 300 to 200 champions they might have? Is going to be tough. So they have to improve this, and I think 2025 is going to be a year for that. And also, the last thing that was promised, that we know is going to come for sure, is the super raids for campaign. I don't know if it's going to come to other places as well, but I know that for campaign, at least they confirmed that it's going to come. Let's say you want to farm, I don't know, 12, 3 here. Right now, we don't have any button. Okay, that means we're going to spend, in my case, in Nightmare campaign, 16 energy, and you're going to do it once, and then if you want to do it again, another 16, and so on. When for the rest of the dungeons, you have these auto super raids, which basically I can come here, click here, super raids. Okay, it's going to consume double the amount of energy, but also it's going to take only the 1 amount of time of doing 1 run, and it's going to give me double the rewards. So this is something that, again, is being demanded for a long time. It's finally going to come, like I said, February, March, but that it's coming for sure it's coming. Now let's gonna go with the sauce. Let's gonna go with the more interesting part of the video, that is like, okay, what other things are gonna come this 2025? What things I am pretty sure from experience, because there's hints in the game, things that are probably gonna happen sooner or later, and I'm pretty sure this 2025 is a good year to do that. The first one is a long-awaited one, and I'm not sure how far they are with it, but it's something that not only me, but a lot of people are very looking forward, and is this little thing here, okay? We have a hidden faction, and I think Sylvan Watchers dropped down maybe 2 years ago already, or Shadow King was like 3 or 4 years ago, then Sylvan Watchers. I'm guessing this last faction, or one more faction, has to come at some point. I don't know if 2025, I don't know if 2026, but something has to happen. And I think, and I hope it's gonna be sooner than later, because we're already starting to have some factions that are getting quite fat in terms of legendaries. For example, the Sacred Order, we're already in 1, 2, 3 and a bit, so almost 4 rows of legendaries. We also have other factions that are completely abandoned, poor things. For example, I don't know, Lizardmen. Well, we have two lines, but it still is a faction that the champions get released very, very rarely. Same with the Shadow. Well, the Shadow Kings is kind of newish faction, and they seem to have gotten some love. Sylvan Watchers, also the latest, but it's already almost on the 2 lines. And the more champions they release for other factions, the more behind this faction of whatever it is going to be. So at some point, and I hope 2025, we're going to see here a new faction. Another thing that I'm pretty sure at some point is going to come, maybe not 2025, maybe a bit later, but hear me out, is the Super Nightmare, Ultra Nightmare Chimera. We started at a point that, okay, we had clan boss, I think the maximum difficulty, I'm not sure if it was brutal, and then they released Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare after that, or they released Nightmare and then sometime later Ultra Nightmare. And I mean, it's a big of a joke. The Ultra Nightmare clan boss at the moment, people just farm it in order to get some shards, get some books. The gear here is not very relevant. In the late game, you're probably gonna throw it away, not use it much. And is the main source of shards. Since it's the main source of shards, if they put an extra difficulty, means they also have to increase their rewards. And I don't think they're going to increase the rewards and give more chances to get shards and books, because if people can get more shards for free, they're going to buy less shards in the shop. So in terms of business, I don't think the area to improve is more difficulties to Demon Lord. However, in the Hydra, right now you have like the Nightmare, the Hydra Nightmare is maximum health is 610 million, but there's already teams who are hitting for billions. And once you get the maximum chest, once you get your Mithrala, once she's summoned, what is the other incentive to do this? The souls gear, and then you hope for like 6-star legendary or mythical. Stone skin for the arena, okay, can be useful up to a certain degree. The other one, the protection, I think is called, is an amazing set, and this is what people are farming here nowadays. But there's no more incentive after this. Like if they would put another champion, if they would put, I don't know, another set, something to make this a bit more juicy and not just stopping in Nightmare, putting an Ultra Nightmare. If we have Ultra Nightmare for clan boss, for the demon boss, for the demon lord, why not for the Hydra? The Chimera is quite new, but the Chimera still has an Ultra Nightmare. So we have 2 of the bosses that have Ultra Nightmare difficulty and one of them that doesn't. That, like I said, doesn't sound quite right, and I think they're going to put something in this part of the game, hopefully followed by some juicy rewards. Another one that it's also very interesting, and they haven't said much about it, but I think it has to come at some point, and is the following. Right now we have shards, we have voids, we have mythical, we have legendaries, blah blah blah. That's all good. We have 4 different affinities. We have magic, we have spirit, we have force, and we have void. But for the mythical champions, we only have 3 affinities, which means they're gonna come at some point, or I mean, it's logic common sense that they're gonna introduce Void Mythical champions. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know if in the same pool as these primal shards, if they're gonna release a brand new shard that is super hard to get with really low percentages that they can monetize like crazy, and there is the only place where you can get Void Mythicals. I have no idea. These champions might be super busted, but there is something that it makes sense that it comes at some point. Void Mythicals, I think they have to come at some point, even if it's just one per faction or something like that. And also, and this is, I really hope Plarium does something about this really soon, and is Minnow, please, something more, something further than stage 15. It's been like this since 2018 that the game came out, and we've been farming Minnow 15 for 6 years, for forever. Yes, we can use gems to get the masteries straight away, but please put something here that says, okay, you can use, I don't know, 800 gems or 2000 energy, and you do it automatically. Or even you come here and just put Minnow 20, Minnow hard, something. It's not so complicated. You have the code for the dungeon. Just increase this, the same exponentially you've been doing here. Get the same boss, put 5 levels, 10 more levels, hard difficulty. The boss is done. You'll need to increase the stats, increase the rewards. Very easy to do, and it will save players a crazy amount of time just farming Minnow over and over and over for a sad 6 to 12 of this scroll. And then we have a couple more things that I know they're gonna come because they were mentioned already. One of them is some sort of expansion to the Siege. So right now I don't think it's a priority. I don't think we need it. Siege, it happens every 2 weeks. It's arena with 2 scrolls or 3 scrolls every 2 weeks. It's easy to make, but when it got announced, they mentioned something about expanding the map or expanding something in the Siege. The only thing that it would make sense expanding here is the amount of people per clan, also increasing the amount of stages. So making a way bigger map, some sort of massive PvP clan versus clan, but it wouldn't be enhancing the game massively. It's just adding extra stages just because you have more people. I don't know what plans they have here, how are they planning to increase the Siege, but I know they mentioned that they'll be monitoring it and it's something that they can expand on. Something I also really look forward for some expansion, and I'm not sure if something like this was mentioned, but it's a shame that this faction wars mode got very forgotten. It was really fun when it came out. The fact of you choose 5 different champions from the same faction and then you level them up, they have some synergies, you pass all these stages, and at the end you get this amazing champion, which is Lydia. Once this is done, once you have Lydia, that's it. It's pretty boring. Even the sets that you can craft from here are pretty useless in that sense. At least in the late game, they're not that meta, they're not so used in the late game. There's better sets than the ones here. I think it will be a great opportunity to make here, I don't know, hard difficulty. Instead of items to craft, to craft gear, instead of these materials to craft gear and the glyphs, which are good, they can keep the glyphs, just add more stuff for the relics. You'll kill 3 birds with 1 stone. You'll have a fun game mode that is more challenging, which is like factions, harder difficulties, like harder enemies, harder synergies. Also, you can add here an extra champion. Just make, a mythical, just get another fancy void legendary like Lydia. And a complete not complete new game mode. The game mode, it's already coded. It's just getting the same game mode, harder champions, adding an extra reward, and adding some sort of faction relic materials to craft it. I think it's something pretty easy to do, and the community and the people will be really, really happy to have this kind of content in the game. So new plus Siege and also new plus faction wars are 2 things that I think they have a lot of potential, especially the faction wars. The Siege, I don't care that much. It's not so relevant. Even the people that started with the Siege, we already have Lamasu to summon. After that, the only reason to farm Siege is probably the set, because it's a very good set, and also, at least for example in my case, I have shitloads of items from the top row, so weapons, helmets and shields, but in terms of the lower ones, crit rate, crit damage, crit rate, In terms of chest, flat, flat, flat. In terms of boots, flat, flat percentages. I mean, not really good gear in the gloves, chest, and boots, and jewelry also pretty hard to get. The top row, we have way too many items. And finally, my two biggest wishes. One of them is a bit less of a wish. I'm pretty certain they're gonna continue on this line. The problem is that they need to do it faster. They need to be addressing this at a much faster pace. And it's reworks. Reworks not only of champions, but I'm also confident and hopeful that reworks in sets is something that could make the game way more interesting. I find crazy that in 2025, like we are, there are still champions that are from 2018. Champions like my poor man here, Altan, hasn't changed a bit since, well, I lie, I think he was reworked probably 2019, something like that, but still, it's a very old champion. He's useless in pretty much most of the content of the game. There's epics nowadays that put him to shame. And not only Altan, I mean, there's in this faction we can talk about Elder Skark, Rafmatab, Rorik, even Torvald is getting old. Ursuga is getting old. Epics, we could rework so many epics that are completely trash. I find crazy that with, let's say, 300, 5, 6, 7, around plus 800 plus champions. Let's say out of these 800 there is, I don't know, 200 legendaries, 150 legendaries. And from this 150, only a third of them, let's say 50, are okay to good. There's so much trash, there's so much average, boring legendaries that have been abandoned. Bigan, War Mother, Ignatius, Gurda, I don't know. Even Jeroboam came out a bit meh. Bellatar, I don't know how can he be called Void Legendary. I mean, there's so much, not trash, but just average, plain mediocre legendaries that they could be so much better and they could balance so many areas of the game just by improving the champions. And together with this, terms of sets, and like I'm pretty hopeful that this can change. I'm not saying 2025 or 2026. They've done it in the past and it was great, and I think they should revisit it at some point soon, and it's rebalancing sets. Set defense, set critical rate, set HP, set attack. I sold all that stuff because I don't need it for anything. Set accuracy. Yeah, it's okay in the early game, but people in the early game can also craft how is it called? The perception. They can easily craft it and it's way better. Sets like, I don't know, resilience is getting old. All the one from Arena, Divine Life, Divine Critical Rate, Divine Speed, all of these go directly into the trash bin every time I get them. The sets from the clan boss, in early game, they're okay. In the late game, they're useless. Curing's never been useful. Stalwart is good. Avenging's never been useful. Retaliation, Provoke, they got reworked. Toxic, I think they also got the percentages up. Destroy got reworked. Immunity could get it reworked as well. Frenzy, I don't know if it got reworked, but it could. Frost, Fury got reworked. Curse, for example, got reworked, went from being a pretty shitty set to being something that is actually meta in the Hydra. So I think they so much work to do in terms of reworking, and not just champions, also sets, that I think they would make the game a much more amazing place for everyone, for players and for the company themselves, if they look after the things they already have and make them nice instead of trying to add a lot of new content that is not that relevant. That said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If I missed any of these things that you think they might come in 2025, please let me know in the comments. As usual, I'll leave down there a video for you to watch after this, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.